Hello, and welcome to the Roughneck Minute, a Movies by Minute podcast where we go over the movie Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I'm your other host, Johann.
And we're at minute 86. Yeah, this minute begins with the troopers cresting over the hill and looking at Whiskey Outpost, and ends with Ace telling the lieutenant that it stinks in there. Well, I'm so maybe either someone let off a stink bomb in Whiskey Outpost. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, it's obviously
real
revealed.
Joker.
Yeah, it's obviously revealed in the next minute. But I think what's lying outside on the floor kind of gives a hint of what's inside that bunk.
Well, 3 seconds in, it looks like a normal outpost, just kind of a lack of people around and the gate's wide open. So I don't know what's wrong with this outpost.
Yeah.
Looks fine to me.
So we start off with kind of a view of the HQ. So, like I said, sometimes I go over the script and I'll only go over the certain minutes that are particular to that script. In the script, this is where Gillespie dies.
Okay.
Because remember we were commenting on how he's climbing that 10-foot rock and thinking he gets a better reception?
Yeah.
So he's trying to get a better reception in the walls of the HQ, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so he goes up top of the wall or something like that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more of an open canyon. The other one was just a straight kill zone. You know, the walls are right next to you. At least this one, it's a little bit bigger. And because it's an HQ, it's kind of put in a place where you can get a reception to send out and receive signals. So he goes onto a wall there to try and get retrieval. Because remember, they were already attacked on their way to the HQ.
That's right, yeah.
So he gets pulled up by 2 hoppers, not 1. And the whole scene where Rashek kills him, that all happens.
Huh.
So that's just stuff that actually does happen, except there is more bug fights that happen, and they get pushed further back into the HQ. I'm assuming the way it was written on the script, the HQ was supposed to be a little bit bigger than it is that we see, where it looks like a room without a roof. So it's basically just a pen. But
yeah.
So they're at a point in the script, it says that they fall back 100 meters, which is the size of a football field, which is bigger than this outpost. So I think that's maybe that's why stuff was moved around, mainly because of budget, because it's a little bit easier to make a smaller HQ. But so far, there's the only differences. The height that Gillespie goes to try and send a signal up makes more sense in the script than it did in the film. I guess they could have done it at the outpost. I just don't know why that was changed so much. I mean, they could have just done it at the outpost. It would have made more sense.
Yeah, they could have, but I don't know. Maybe it's just like a little more tension on the way to the outpost, kind of like, as I said before in the last minute, like a Hills Have Eyes kind of vibe, like, oh, something's stalking us while we're still walking kind of thing.
Yeah, but you could have still had it at the outpost, though.
I know, but
it makes the outpost feel unsafe.
I mean, the door's already open. It kind of feels unsafe. It's super quiet and like no one. I think it's building up tension because apparently they're super close, but even still they can't get a reception, and he has to go on his 12-foot high rock to try to get reception. Even still can't, and then a bug attack.
I guess.
So I think it's just building tension.
All right. I guess. Man.
So, yeah, Whiskey Outpost kind of looks... I mean, so I've always noticed these...
Oh, wait a minute. I just had a thought.
Okay.
If they had the bugs just stalking him all the way to the outpost, I think it would have given it too much of a feel if the Jawa stalking R2.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's just like, maybe some people reference this to Star Wars, so let's not do that. Let's do the reveal. I don't know, but it would have had that feel if it was just stalking him all the way to the HQ.
Yeah, and then they come out and blast him with a electronic blaster and put a restraining bolt on him.
Uchini!
Or whatever the heck he says.
Radshek gives a universal signal for read between the lines, correct?
Kind of. He does kind of a 3 symbol and then up forward. So he wants 3 to go up in there, and 3 troopers actually do go up the ramp as quick as possible. One thing that kind of weirded me out, even like to this day, is kind of the architecture of the outpost itself. It has those kind of weird spires with cabling attached to them on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's supposed to be. Like, it looks like anchoring or something like that, or something, but it would be more for like, oh, if this place had like a not a tent, but like a tarp on top of it, kind of like for shade or something like that. But there's nothing up there. It's just holding up walls.
Oh, you mean like, are you talking about a lean-to tent? Like on the outside?
No. What I'm saying is, so what I'm thinking more of is like more of like a tarp kind of like over the top of the wall to make it kind of like a covered Coliseum kind of looking thing. You know how like in Gladiator where they have the tarps that come out to cover the crowd?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking what these look like, because there are things like this that would have that kind of tarp that covers like people up. Like my thinking is like Universal City Walk, if you've ever been down there.
Yeah.
They have some of these and like the tarps that like cover people as they're walking as well too. But it's all like cabling and everything, you know?
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't make sense to me is the fact that because it looks like support for the walls.
Yeah. But why would it be on the outside?
Yeah, that's a weird thing. It is on the outside, but it is revealed later on in a few minutes that these are support beams for the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking if you're trying to keep stuff out and you have like walls, the worst idea ever is to have supports for them to be on the outside where the enemy can get to them and possibly sabotage them.
Yeah.
I would have them, on the inside.
Yeah.
Or, just reinforce the walls on the inside a lot better. I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah.
I'm no architect, but that just makes sense. Sorry.
No, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why they did it this way, especially with the... It's just weird the way it's designed.
I think the main thing is to look futuristic. That's pretty much it.
I know, but okay, so I'm looking at the architecture here of the outpost. It's on a raised platform, so it has its own slab. I'm assuming this is probably because there's tremors because of the bugs and whatnot. It's to prevent the whole thing from cracking apart, so it kind of shifts around on its own. Basically, it's something that California does all the time.
Yeah.
And then each of the slabs has a post on the end of it. I'm assuming if water needs to go through underneath, it has a pathway so it doesn't get stuck. Then you have these posts that come out that have support beams to it. And we can see it at the front of the building or the structure right next to the door. To the right of it, you see 2 more of those structures. They're not even connected to the outpost itself.
Yeah, they are. They're connected to the top, but it's by wire only.
Yeah,
is what I mean.
Yeah. So they can hang laundry there.
Pretty much. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a connection at the very top with like a little pulley system at the very, very top. But it's just this wire that's anchored to the very top. So what are these things?
So it has no... I get what you're saying, like, what could it be? And the only answer is it's nothing. But the weirdest thing is when they break it, it breaks the wall.
Yeah, well, the wall doesn't actually break until one of the bugs actually move their word toward it. I think it just weakens it.
Yeah, but how?
I don't know. I mean, it's space wizards.
These space wizards are everywhere in this movie,
right?
But it's like saying like, I ran out of gas because my tire's flat.
I know.
I don't know. How does this weaken the structure of the wall? I mean, you can run out of gas because your tire's flat because you're essentially using more gas to try and rotate the wheels, etc. But it's not a direct correlation like it is here. So
I really think it was just there to make it look a little more futuristic, if anything, and just be like, oh, look at these, emplacements. Aren't they cool? We're in the future, guys, kind of thing. I don't know.
Look at my placements. Aren't they neat?
I can pull up my laundry complete. But Razchek, as soon as the other three get up in there, he motions for everyone to get up in there, and they all run up.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed, he does that the way he holds up his three fingers. I find that very hard to do nowadays.
What, the thumb to pinky?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, well, I can do it like every so often and whatnot, but like especially when I ref hockey, like my hands get so cold I can't do that anymore. So I do like the German one, like the thumb, the pointer, and the middle finger. It makes it so much easier. But I wonder why like there's so many different ways to do that sort of signal. You know what I mean? That I'm starting to understand the German version now, because like you can visibly see the two fingers are down because you can fan the fingers.
Yeah. Well, whenever I think of the German version, I think of Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
When he does his kind of like finger guns pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But it's just, I don't know. When I see it, I always thought it was weird. I don't know. I guess I just lack the coordination to do that, or the flexibility in my fingers. But it's always been kind of like, when I do it as a kid, I feel like a tightness between my, like putting my pinky to my thumb. It's always been like that as a kid. That when I saw it, I was like, oh, I can't do that easily.
I can guarantee you right now that everyone listening to us is doing that exact same motion right now, because I'm doing it right now. I'm thinking to myself, no, this is okay. I can totally do this.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, like the OK one, the John Cena throw the fingers up in the air, the pointer finger to the thumb, like that one I can do. The thumb to the pinky, I feel like a little bit of tightness in my hand. So I've like, when I started using like the German 3, I just find it much easier.
Well, see, you don't like put the tips to tip on the thumb and the finger. You overlap your pinky with your thumb.
Yeah, there's a tightness on there.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Maybe you just have really messed up hands.
I actually do. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Stop messing up your hands, man.
It's my thumbs. I've jammed them so many times.
But yeah, we get into the outpost and we're greeted by bullet holes and a dead bug carcass.
Yeah, I like the makeup in this. And like, well, I'm not sure. Is it makeup? Because
This is more like makeup and VFX.
Yeah, because I want to say some of the people are there. It's makeup because they look so good as corpses.
Yeah. And I love the shot too, because it's like, it's a, we actually had one of these, with one of these, boom, shots, or one of these boom, what are they called? Cranes it was really neat too, because we, at my high school, we had one of these boom cranes for, a video production when I was in there. It wasn't as tall as this, but it's basically a camera that can keep focus on one subject and then move the whole entire way up or pan a certain way. So it starts out really, really small and then pans out to get a view of the whole entire compound, basically the inside of the compound.
Yeah.
I love this shot too, because it just shows, oh yeah, there's one dead bug, but there's like 15 dead people.
Yeah. The corpses are laying there so cool. It looks like Diablo. You try and flip them over, corpses pop up. But
I'm actually stocked at 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 29 seconds right now. It looks exactly like, an isometric view down from like, this would be like an isometric Starship Troopers video game. This would be awesome. Or, I'm sorry, XCOM. This is XCOM.
I love XCOM.
Oh, it's so good.
But so, if you go back like maybe like 4 seconds, there is a corpse that's underneath the ramp that's right there. Mm-hmm. It's probably the coolest looking one in my opinion.
Oh, the one that's like stomped pretty much?
Yeah, and it looks like it's almost been bisected.
I think it has been almost, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure where the lead off is. Like, maybe it's from right above the hip going all the way up, or if it's like straight up and down. But that's like
Hmm.
one of the coolest looking corpses in this scene right now.
I'm a little partial to the dude who's right in front of Razchek and his people, the one that basically doesn't have a head and the whole entire back is opened up and it looks like his arm is deflated.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it looks like there's no arm in that sleeve.
Yeah, or the one kind of right next to him as well too, where again looks bisected. I mean, his whole entire like left half of the body is completely like cut. There's a leg chunk, but like the bowels, the arms, and everything is just out and gone. You know.
Well, there's a one also to the right of where you enter. It's got the legs and one arm. It's like a whole like 3/4 is gone. It almost looks like a Pac-Man.
Ugh, man, I mean, this movie is gaining its R rating super good right now. And also, I love the splatter as well, too. Look, so I've never noticed the splatter because we never went over I never went over this movie minute by minute. But not only do you have like, you know, the splatters on the ground, the deep crimson, dark splatters and everything, but you also have like the actual like little specks of blood and also like scuff marks with blood on them, like how people were running away and everything, handprints and footprints and everything. It looks like people were just like trying to like help people and then getting killed at the same time.
Yeah, because in the moment that you're pausing at 25,
Hmm.
there's like a corpse that's there with looks like the bottom half and the top half is missing. But if you look at that smear, it looks like the body was running, and when it hit, it kind of streaked a bit to the right.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like someone just put it there with a mop, but just where the way you put the placement of the body and everything just makes that thing look so much better because of, you know, where the deeper part of the crimson is with the head, and then it just looks like it's streaked across, like maybe the head dragged across it with its running speed.
It's like every corpse in here or every little prop is trying to tell a story about how this person died.
I know, this is like Dexter's wet dream right here.
A little bit, except, you know, well, I don't know, because he actually kind of found the absence of blood really, really alluring as well, too.
That's true, but he could spend a lot of time trying to recreate everything, and then he thinks about everything else, so he would have fun.
Yeah. And Razchek, you know, kind of lifts up his helmet. He's like, oh, well, this is something. And we get more views of dead troopers. One particularly, this one at 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 35 seconds, who pretty much has his complete forehead ripped up and up to his eye, it looks like. Or it's his forehead almost kind of looks like his forehead almost got scalped a little bit.
Okay, so I was waiting for that because in the script there's kind of something that they didn't add, but makes kind of sense.
Okay, what's
So
this?
when they get to the outpost, it's still surrounded by bugs, except it's surrounded by the worker bugs.
Oh, okay.
And they're grazing on the remains of the dead troopers.
Ooh.
So they eat them. So the warriors kill them, and then I guess the workers break them down to their sections, and that's what they eat. They eat people.
Interesting.
Yep. So that one where it looks like his head is probably coming off,
Mm-hmm.
that, well, there's kind of a thing, like maybe it was like the end reveal, but it could be that as well, that they're starting to use that fact that there were supposed to be worker bugs that were grazing on the dead bodies.
Yeah. Well, that kind of makes me think, like, if that was supposed to be the case where worker bugs were grazing, were they doing a kind of thing where they're taking back pieces of body to, like, ferment and make into, like, a certain kind of thing, or were they going to break it down and then feed it to the rest of the colony as well, too?
Well, I would assume that they would digest it with a certain enzyme and then kind of spit it back out for like something that could be eaten for like the young.
Also, like, basically, like honey, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, so humans are the pollen to their flowers, basically. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe
That's kind of interesting.
maybe they were like, what do we do with all these dead bodies? And someone's like, I know. I'm gonna eat it, and then I'm gonna throw it up, and then we're gonna feed it to the little one.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's kind of like the first person who drank milk had to be really, really thirsty. The first bug who had to eat a human got really, really hungry.
Yeah.
But we continue on. Dizzy and Rico are looking a little distraught at all the carnage. And we get to 1 minute, 25 minutes. I'm sorry, 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 40 seconds. And we get this guy right here who has his mouth open next to another person who has a completely missing arm. The guy on the ground looks real.
That's the one I was saying. Is this special effects or makeup?
I think this is makeup on this one because he does look real. There aren't any parts missing from him. He just looks like an extra.
I know. That's why I was wondering, like, is this makeup or special effects? Like, you understand why I was obsessing over it, because I just don't see how this is just what's it called? Just a mannequin or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, so the mannequins on the other ones, they kind of look a little waxy to me. And also, if you notice the prop up against him, that those cheekbones are a little high and a little weird looking.
Yeah, remember Xander's face at the end.
True.
I keep going, when I looked at that, I keep going back to that moment.
So but that's the thing. If this person was, pretty much just maimed like that, do you think that would have happened to?
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I don't know if everyone in the outpost got that treatment though.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was let's try and find out who.
Okay. But yeah, I think this guy on the ground right here is a real person. I don't think he's a prop, but just because he doesn't look as waxy. The eyebrows look really good. I mean, if he is a prop, then, good God, Tippett Studios, you guys made me think he was real, even to this point.
Yeah. So that's why I don't know if it's makeup or special effects. I don't.
So we get a little scene of Sugar. He kind of just comments that somebody really humped the bunk.
Yeah. Do you understand that comment? I don't know if it's a term that's been going around.
I think it's more of someone really screwed the pooch kind of thing, but just in a different terminology.
Because I have a literal story for hump the bunk, but I'm wondering if it's figuratively of kind of the same thing as of the literal meaning.
All right, go for it.
All right. So this may lead into the medic area.
I will have the medics ready.
All right. So
24 minutes, 15 seconds.
So when I was when I was in my 20s, we were playing drinking games, and we were obviously drinking. After everything was said and done, we were all going to sleep. So it was one of my best friends from high school, one of my other buddies, my girlfriend at the time, and me. So we were all going to sleep in the same room because we were all drunk. We were on the top bunk. My buddy was on the bottom bunk, and then the other friend was sleeping on like a pull-out futon because it was a pretty big room. So we're on the top bunk, like fooling around, and then it gets to the 20 minutes. We'll say that for
okay.
So once we get to that part, and I'm too obviously like drunk and all that, and it doesn't come to realization till later on. I am shaking the entire bunk by doing this. So that's hump the bunk, is when you do that, you really shake up everything that's going on.
Okay, so it's a literal meaning for you, though.
Yeah, but that's why, like, someone humped the bunk. To me, it's like someone shook everything up and kind of wrecked things.
Okay. Well, besides this movie, I've never heard this terminology, but when I did hear it, I was like, oh yeah, he's probably saying someone screwed the pooch. But I like your interpretation of it.
Yeah, it just messes things up.
It reminds me of that episode of the Venture Brothers. I think it was season 2, where you see Doc Venture, his his flashback to college years when Brock, his bodyguard, is actually his roommate, and he never sees him because he's gone in the day, but at night he comes home with like a new girl, and it's just constantly, and they're in bunk beds, and it's just constant, banging.
Yeah.
But that's what that's what your story reminded me of right now.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, also when they get to the outpost in the script, that's when Rico gets his field promotion, because remember, Gillespie's still alive.
Yeah, but now, I gotcha.
So, an important line in this one in the script is, Rico, you're acting sergeant now. My last sergeant lost the compact. Put together a search team and find a Radio Shack.
Oh, we need no.
So, like, instead of saying, like, we lost it, it's like, no, that guy lost it.
That dude was so inconsiderate getting killed. I mean, what? I guess he's maybe happy that he didn't go as high, because then he would have been like, dude was just asking to get killed going that high. Instead, he was like, no, he went 12 feet up, but the bug still got him. But, he still lost the pack, man. I gotta, comp him on that, basically.
Yeah, so they're actually indoors the entire time when they get into the bunk area.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where they see all the insects, human and dead, etc., etc.
Well, we get Razjack coming up to Watkins, telling him, hey, someone needs to police up these bodies. We need to get someone on the walls as well, too. He takes off his helmet and says pretty much all that. And Watkins basically just goes to town. Give me 3 up there, OP there, OP there, OP there. And someone police up these bodies.
That's a little racist. He's like, hey, Opie, get up there.
OP.
Yeah, see, Opie.
Uh-huh. But yeah, and then it kind of zooms up to someone going up the little tower to the gun emplacements, which look like anti-aircraft guns.
I know, right? But I'm thinking, because of the size of the tankers, that is probably necessary.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They look cool, though.
So, actually, I just learned something else by looking up IMFDB right now.
Okay.
Because we're flying off the seat of our pants. We're no longer in South Dakota.
Oh, where are we?
This is Wyoming.
Ah, it's much colder.
This is, yes, Hell's Half Acre, Wyoming is where Whiskey Outpost took place, or was where Whiskey Outpost basically took place. It does look a little different tiny bit different than South Dakota.
Okay, so this is where, what's it called? Utah people go to get their beer.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Okay. So, all right. So, like, 10 years ago, I used to be a DJ and whatnot. We had a gig in Utah.
Okay.
So, we were there, and they told us, like, the gig was like a Saturday night or something like that. I never told you this story?
Mm-mm.
All right, so we were going to head home, like, early in the morning on Sunday. And they say, oh, you should hang out. We're having a keg party on Sunday. And I was like, okay. And, like, everybody was up for it. So I was like, all right, we'll hang out. So, this is when I found out that also Utah, I never knew this before, but Utah was kind of a dry state.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was Sunday and it was a day that you, like, they had like the sermon speaking on TV or something, so everybody's supposed to tune in and whatnot. There's even a girl who said she had to watch it because her parents would make her write a report to make sure that she was watching it when she wasn't with them.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? So we were trying to find something to eat, couldn't find anything to eat. We went to a grocery store out there, and it was the only thing open because it was also a pharmacy. So those are the only things that was open. But we could not purchase any beer. Because we thought if they're throwing a keg party, we should contribute a little bit. And
yeah.
but we couldn't because they we couldn't buy any, and they told us like, oh, don't go to like the liquor store because that's police run, and we don't want you guys to get in trouble with your California stuff and everything like that. So we just opted for just, all right, you guys are throwing a party. You guys know this area better than we do. Let's just hang out. So we're like gambling and stuff like that. In Utah. And so this truck comes up and they told us they went to Wyoming to get the beer because it was the only place they could get a refill of a keg.
Jeez.
And it's where I also found out at the time, I'm not sure if this is current, but you cannot own a keg and a tap at the same household.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
like archaic, anti-dry or dry laws or anti, beer laws or something like that.
So this guy in a lifted truck with the straight out of like Dukes of Hazzard has like stacked of kegs in his truck. Because I'm guessing this is where he makes his money. He makes a run for people at Wyoming, and then people buy it because you cannot buy any at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, I don't know, like eight kegs in there. And I'm just like, how many? Like, I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, how many are you guys getting? They unload one, and a guy drives off. There's like 20 people there. I was like, one keg? Forgot, Utah also has half the alcohol content as we do in California.
Oh, no.
So one is very good for them. It's almost like getting 2 kegs. So that is the story of the the kegs. I don't even know how we got to this. Why did we start this?
We were talking about Wyoming because this is where Whiskey Outpost is located.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so he got the beers from Wyoming because that's the only place to go.
Weird, man. I'm glad we live in California where not only do we have tons of liquor, but now we have legal weed.
Yep.
So, Whiskey Outpost, I just want to go over one thing before I get to the Whiskey Outpost thing as well, too. But so we see these 2 giant machine guns up there. And these were actually modified Browning M2HB 50 caliber machine guns with modified Russian DSHK barrels. So basically, they're a mash kit bash with U.S. and Russian machine guns.
Sweet. That's
They're
cool.
really cool looking. Yeah.
Huh.
So right. The barrels, are Russian. The actual mechanism, the firing mechanisms, and the actual machine guns that are inside the little turret and everything are just regular Browning U-50 cals.
That is really
so.
rad.
That's why I thought initially that they were anti-aircraft guns because it looks like a Russian anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah. Rad.
And so also this whole entire scene, Whiskey Outpost. It's kind of, it basically is the whole entire plot of the original, pilot or the original screen of this, or the original script of this movie, which was the bug hunt at Outpost 9.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking was maybe they put this whole entire scene in kind of like how, Kevin Smith's story about how that one director wanted Superman to fight a giant tarantula, but eventually got it into Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, like where, we had this idea for, an outpost, a bug hunt and everything. Let's just have it here in this movie at this point. Because in the book, there really wasn't this many things. It was mostly, they never really had an outpost per se. It was mostly like they were setting up, lines and then firing and then meeting up and then bouncing out, basically.
Yeah.
So they really never met up with an outpost or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't the most significant scene. Well, I'm saying that because there's scenes I wish were removed. But this one is, I don't know. It's obviously doesn't. Ever since you mentioned the Whiskey Outpost thing, I can see how this movie was going to eventually revolve around that situation because a lot of stuff does happen. The scene with Diz, Carmen appearing, and the idea of the brain bug by the like this becomes a very pivotal scene here.
Not only that, but this whole entire like sequence, the whole entire Whiskey Outpost sequence, kind of makes me feel like this is a false ending, kind of, you know, like it's really, really, you know, a high point, and then you get low again, but you get to another high point, but it's not as high as Whiskey Outpost. I think honestly, this is the highest point in the movie. This whole entire sequence.
Yeah, this climax.
This is really it, and then it just kind of goes downhill a little bit. The ending of the movie, or, you know, the whole entire brain bug thing, the Bug City, you know, romp through the tunnels and everything is fun, but it's not as entertaining and not as, you know, engrossing as Whiskey Outpost.
Yeah, it's the end of the second act. Everything's going to be a little bit depressing as it goes on. This is a direct correlation I always make between the Revenge of the Sith and or the Empire Strikes Back, and what was the one that just aired? The Last Jedi, with the fifth movies. Not the fifth movie, but the second movie.
The second movies of the trilogy, yeah.
Yeah. People view each movie as their own. I view the trilogy as a whole movie, and always the second movie is going to be that darker. Things are going to change because of stuff that happened in this film, and everything goes on a downhill, and to me that's fine, but I always hear people complaining about it, like, especially the last one, why is it ending so depressing, blah blah blah. It's because it's theoretically the second act of the entire story.
Yeah, I get that too, but I mean, if that's the case, then Revenge of the Jedi, or I'm sorry,
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, remember, Revenge is the working title.
No, that's my title. That's what I all the time called it, basically.
No,
but even still,
it's a working title. They filmed with those jackets on.
But I mean, but this, if that was the case, I mean, if this is the case, then the whole entire brain bug sequence is not, you know, the run on the second Death Star. This is not. It's not as entertaining. It's not as pivotal. It's important, yeah, but again, Whiskey Outpost just seems like the highest point in this movie.
No, but the idea of the second Death Star, that run isn't supposed to be the pivotal point.
It's exciting as hell, though. I mean, you're getting Lando, you're getting the foot battle, you're getting the whole entire duel with Darth Vader, and you're getting the Superstar Destroyer and everything. It's exciting as hell.
Yes,
I love it.
I understand, but the pivotal moments of that part that creates the actual tension towards the third film is the reveal that Anakin is Darth Vader and Luke and Leia's father.
I get that, yeah.
And then also Luke losing his hand makes it pivotal to the point where Darth Vader actually loses his hand, so it shows that more of the similarity between father and son. So the second run of the Death Star is exciting. It's great, but when you think about it, like, which scenes are actually more pivotal towards the ending of the entire trilogy, it's going to be those reveals, which are the ones that are shown here. It's not going to be the most exciting things. I totally get what you're saying. I just am coming to this point as they're killing more bugs here than they were in the last half of this movie, is what I'm saying. They kill more bugs here than the entire movie.
And that's why I think this is kind of like the highest point of the movie. Yes, you're getting a little information, and yes, you do get a nice, ending to the movie, but I like them bug killings, man.
Yeah, I know, but you can correlate the bug killing to the second run of Death Star, but then the information of the brain bug and the deaths and the returns is more of the Darth Vader reveals and Luke losing his hand and everything.
This is a really, really weird tangent where we're trying to mix this movie with Star Wars. I like how it's ending. It's just odd.
I don't mix things with Star Wars. I use Star Wars as a base of explanation of how storytelling is done. Because George Lucas actually does a very good a very systematic way of revealing who the hero is and his trials and tribulations, because it's based on a book called A Man of a Thousand Faces, which has been going on for, I think, a century now. It's basically like the rise and fall. Like, there's always the rise and fall, the rise and fall, and rise and fall, and everybody knows those things. They have these problems, they conquer it, and the damsel in distress is appearing, and then they rescue the princess, and then the friends appear, and then and at first there's like, are we friends or are we not? And then they reveal themselves as being true friends, etc. That's all in a book that was created a long, long time ago. And George Lucas actually was a fan of that book, and he used that book as an outline to how he created Luke Skywalker. So that's why when these things happen, I use Star Wars as a base, because he actually used the core bones of creating the hero. So that's why I relate things to Star Wars. It's not necessarily everything is related to Star Wars. It's just Star Wars is the base, and everything I do or think of branches from that.
No, that makes complete and total sense. I got it, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go about of reading Man of a Thousand Faces, because it's really just really a basic outline of how to create a hero. But it's just a good idea to at least have knowledge in the idea of it, so you can just be aware of when things are outlined. Or if you're like me, you just kind of prefer to be surprised no matter how bad or how good a movie is. Just sit back and enjoy it. You don't need to read it. It's not going to change your day.
So it's like a pre-internet TV tropes.
Yep. Pretty much.
Okay. Well, okay, perfect. I think I'll stick with TV tropes.
All right.
But we get the very pretty much end of this minute with Ace in front of the door to the outpost. He comes up, Razchek comes up to him, and he just basically tells Razchek that it stinks in there.
All right.
That's where that minute ends, guys.
So stinky in the end. All right. Makes sense.
Stinky. It stinks. It's like someone definitely passed in there. You know, they cut that cheese.
Yeah.
And then Razchek's gonna say, whoever smelt it dealt it, Ace.
Yeah.
And then Ace is gonna be like, well, whoever denied it supplied it. But have you actually ever smelled a dead body?
Yeah.
It's not pleasant at all, is it?
No, it isn't.
I think we'll pretty much just leave it at that then.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, I don't know. I don't think it was the most traumatizing thing of my life.
But you know what it smells like now.
Yeah.
And you recognize the smell of like rotting flesh, whether it be like couple day old meat like left out in the sun, or like, the difference between like day old meat and an actual body.
Yeah.
Or at least like a rotting pig or something like that.
Not sure about a rotting pig, but the oldest I've seen a corpse is probably within 24 hours. So probably not as bad as what they're smelling there, considering the whole thing is heated in there as well.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's flies and maggots.
So that's the thing too. I mean, would there be? I don't think so, because I mean, if this is, that's kind of like exclusive to Earth. If anything, this is a different planet. There may not be carrion like insects. Well, they already do have carrion insects, which would be the worker bugs, but that would be it.
So maybe no maggots, which would remove the original forensic theory of how old a corpse has been around, because they measure the size of the maggot. Yeah. So maybe they don't know how long they've been dead. But Razchek, I think, has an idea. Yeah, I mean, if they got that, if what we learn about from this whole entire sequence, it probably happened the night before they left Tango Urilla. Yeah. All right. So, where can they find you, Matt?
Well, they can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet. Alt-tab Matt, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Got actually a couple followers on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and guys, thank you so much for following us. It does get regular updates of when we do release, which is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Johann, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch and Instagram at JDASHD26. You can also find me on Twitter at OMG It's Johann.
And you guys can also follow the show itself, as I said beforehand, at the Roughneck Men on Twitter. You can also go to theroughneckminute.podbean.com for any past episodes or show notes. You can also go to our Facebook group, the Roughneck Minute Billet, Billet, to continue the conversation and talk about smelly rooms and how it probably stinks in there because of farts and cheese and gross stuff. But not dead bodies. I mean, that doesn't smell at all. It smells good. No, it doesn't.
Like a bouquet of clothes?
No. You can also go ahead, guys, subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or any other podcatcher you guys can find. I personally like Podcast Addict. It's one of the best on Android because I'm an Android nerd and I don't own any iPhone products and never will own any Apple products because they're expensive and dumb. Come fight me. I just lost all of our iTunes subscribers because most of our listeners actually come from iTunes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, guys. I love you.
I have an iTunes account, but I do not have an Apple phone, but I do have an iPad. I just prefer having the external hard drive preference.
I prefer not having my stuff gated off by a certain software.
Yeah. That is
but
true.
I do use iTunes to leave reviews on all the other Movies by Minute podcasts that I usually listen to, like, Galaxy Quest Minute, the Cabin Minute Cast, and all the other ones that I usually really like as well, too.
Yep.
Because that's the only way, and one of the best ways to get the podcast that you really like up in the analytics as well, too, is review it.
Yep. Correct.
Which please do for us, because we're desperate. Not really, but please do. But I've been one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I've been your other host, Johann.
And we will see you on the Bounce Troopers.